Hello, everyone. Let's now focus on another very important topic today. That is called the Revolt of 1857. That's an epoch in history of India because of many reasons. So far, that what we have discussed uh, is the background of the revolt of 1857, starting with the British consolidation by defeating Indian native uh, rebellions, mutinies, and uprisings, um, and various kinds of movements all across India. British Raj, with East India Company, uh, tried to, consolidate by brute force, and ultimately, the resentment because of the heavy taxation and various other policies led Indians on a national scale uh, revolting against the East India Company. And revolt of 1857 is known by different names. We will be, of course, discussing at the end of the lecture. But let us see that what were the factors, who were the leaders, who tried to, kind of provide the leadership, of the revolt or rebellion, as it is known. Uh, you know, Moving ahead, if you see on the screen, there is this picture which, in a way, defines the kind of weapons used by East India Company, and in fact, which also ignited much of the events which unfolded, as a factor behind the revolt of 1857 by the sepoys in the barracks of the British Army. That in a way, um, I mean, the guns and ammunitions and all those things, in a way, were largely used in battle or revolt of 1857, which many of the scholars have said that it was the first war of independence, but many have been daring not to say as a first war of independence. Rather, it was a fragments, or it was rather, the battlefield was for different purposes by different sort of actors who benefited or who were going to benefit out of that. So prior to that, say 100 years ago, what we saw was another very important, battle, which is called Battle of Plassey. British East India Company took a significant step towards consolidating power in northern India, and this marked the beginning of British influence in the region, setting the stage for their subsequent control over various territories. The British presence in India during this period laid the foundation for changes in governance, economy, and social dynamics. If we move ahead, that what we see that by from say 1757 to 1857, there was some sort of simmering discontent resulted from British expansionist policies, economic exploitation, and administrative innovations affecting various segments of society. The revolt of 1857 shook the British Empire in India, leading to significant changes in their approach to ruling the subcontinent. enhanced revenue demands, uh, even during famine years, fueled public anger. Movements against local moneylenders sometimes escalated into rebellion against the company rule due to the moneylenders' support from the police. Right. So this was a kind of watershed moment which challenged first time on a national scale, challenging the British authority, and this initiates also a new phase in the history of colonial India. If we see the 1857 revolt was a multifaceted uprising, and we are going to learn in this particular segment that what were the major causes behind the uprising, exploring the economic hardships, social transformation, and political discontent that fueled the rebellion. This revolt of 1857 was rooted in diverse causes that cut across social, socio-cultural, economic, and political dimensions. You know, if we move ahead to see that what were the colonial policies, which disturbed the very traditional economic fabric. I mean, in the previous segments, we learned about that it was a destruction of the handicrafts, local domestic industries by the East India Company, and also people rebelling against the foreign goods. The very idea of Swadeshi, the very idea of indigenous commodities, was in a way driving factor behind the rebellion. So, the East India Company's policies dismantled the traditional economic fabric of Indian society. In terms of peasant exploitation, that what we saw in the previous segments, and and which in a way, in cumulative sense, that what we get to know that heavy taxation and unpopular revenue settlements left peasants impoverished, pushing them into the clutches of moneylenders. This, again led to the emergence of a new class of landlords, further disrupting the traditional zamindari system. And be mindful that in again previous segments we have talked about that how these landlords and zamindars were the collaborators of the East India Company or British Empire. In terms of artisan and handicraft, they started declining. Indian artisans and craftsmen suffered as, British policies discouraged, native crafts and promoted British goods. The annexation of states eliminated major sources of patronage, leaving artisans struggling for livelihoods. In terms of trade and mercantile class separation, there were high tariffs on Indian-made goods and low tariffs on British imports. This crippled Indian trade, and in fact destruction of Indian industry, and this coupled with the land rights forfeited for zamindars, intensified economic pressure on agriculture. So, this discontentment, this resentment, this certain kind of angst and anger, among the civilians, among the sepoys, among the ex-military officials, among tribal population, among peasants. This in a way, has been kind of bourgeoising. This has been kind of, making up, and ultimately, the outburst that what we see in the moment of history, that is 1857. So the discontent among sepoys and general population, as in the previous segment we saw that there was military revolt or military or sepoy mutinies, as well as civil uprising. So the general population who was religiously oriented. There was a certain kind of interference by the East India Company, restrictions on religious practices such as wearing caste and sectarian marks, and rumors of proselytizing activities, the conversion, in the name of missionary activities and white man's burden and civilizational mission, that kind of fueled religious discontent among sepoys. This act called General Service Enlistment Act 1856, which mandated recruits to serve anywhere without consent, led to the resentment among the sepoys, the denial of foreign service allowance in certain regions, and the annexation of power heightened dissatisfaction among sepoys. The very sort of overt kind of discrimination in terms of race, in terms of limited promotion opportunities, unequal privileges, giving preferences to the British counterparts. Their discontent reflected broader opposition to British rule, as well as a very interesting thing that whatever was happening, say, in Europe and elsewhere, that had, also a larger impact, which unfolded, revolt of 1857. So, this 1857 revolt, therefore, was a culmination of economic hardship, social transformations, and military grievances that underscored a broader opposition to British rule in India. Now, moving ahead, again, let us see that what were those events, what were those, kind of, igniting factors which bloomed, into the national consciousness, where people got to know that how East India Company is not at all respecting some of the very, very crucial, religiosity or religious sentiments. And this, in a way, again became, started initially, to secure certain kind of, religious practices or customary practices, but generated certain kind of solidarity among Hindus and Muslims, which ultimately led to, becoming a kind of, national event. The introduction of the greased cartridges and and interconnection of the religious sensitivities. There were reports of bone dust in floor, and the introduction of the Enfield rifle, which intensified sepoys' growing dissatisfaction with the British government. Now, about the greased cartridges, the Enfield rifles cartridges required biting of grease wrapping, reportedly made from beef and pig fat. Now, Hindus considered cows sacred. The Muslims regarded pigs as taboo, haram. And the administration's indifference towards these religious sentiments and the beliefs, the very indifference heightened, the fear of sepoys about threats to their, religion and the religious beliefs or faith system, right? And this led to the, revolt by the, sepoys in Meerut, where just 58 kilometer from Delhi on May 10, 1857, where sepoys, army personnel, the Sipahis, they revolted, and this started spreading quickly all over India, starting from Meerut to Punjab to north to Narmada in the south, Bihar in the east, and Rajputana in the west. So the grease cartridges, in a way, fueled certain kind of resentment among the sepoys, and that blown, because people were already already kind of dissatisfied. They had a sort of simmering discontent, which ultimately led to the revolt. Now, revolt started spreading from Meerut to Delhi and various other places. As I mentioned, Rajputana in the west to Bihar in the east to Narmada in the south to Meerut and Delhi in the north, Punjab as well. So the revolt started gaining momentum. As we all are aware about that, there was some kind of rumblings of discontent were observed in various cantonments before the Meerut incident. Uh, I particularly in the previous segments, I talked about Sepoy mutinies, the series of Sepoy mutinies prior to 1857. This mutiny outbreaks occurred such as the 19th Native Infantry at Barhampur in February 1857 and the 13th 4th Native Infantry at Barakpur. And in addition to the May 1857 in the Meerut. So on April 24, sepoys at Meerut refused greased cartridges, leading to dismissals and imprisonment, and ultimately culminated into May 10, 1857. They mutinied, releasing their comrades, killing officers, and heading to Delhi. In Delhi, local infantry joined, killing European officers and proclaiming Bahadur Shah as the, symbolic, emperor. Right now, Bahadur Shah's symbolic leadership was ultimately powerless. The Bahadur Shah Zafar, the emperor, was himself aged. The declaration of emperor was in a way marker that from that period of time, the British, East India Company had basically lost the Delhi, and and Bahadur Shah Zafar had whatever influence left. It kind of called for revolutionary war. Sepoys expressed political motivation against British rule, and they in fact rallied behind Shah's leadership. What were the storm centers and leaders of the revolt? Rebellion leaders and widespread civilian participation was there. As I mentioned, the Bahadur Shah served as a nominal leader, but real command rested with General Bakht Khan and a court of soldiers. Mughal emperor's symbolic role acknowledged India's political unity. Now, in other regions, if we see, at Kanpur, Nana Sahib led acknowledging Bahadur Shah, while Begum Hazrat Mahal took charge in Lucknow. Other leaders included Khan Bahadur in Bareilly, Kuwar Singh in Bihar, and Maulvi Ahmadullah in Awadh. Rani Lakshmi Bai and Tatya Tope, as we all know, were again the very revolutionary leaders from what today we call it Madhya Pradesh. The Jhansi, where Rani Lakshmi Bai assumed the leadership, and resisted British annexation. Tatya Tope joined after the loss of Kanpur, and together they marched towards Gwalior. So the storm centers were not only located into those centers like Jhansi, Kanpur, Delhi, or elsewhere, but also this has to do something with the civilian uprising parallel, where we see that revolt, saw widespread participation from peasants, artisans, shopkeepers, zamindars, religious figures, and civil servants. The rebellion targeted British institutions, including law courts, revenue offices, and police station. Common masses sacrificed, which exemplified by figures like Shah Mal, who played a crucial role. Shah Mal organized villages, disrupted British communication, and resisted through guerrilla activities. There was continued struggle. The rebels faced odds but carried on their struggle for over a year against British army. In a way, continuing a struggle for 1 year without having certain kind of support in terms of either finances or in terms of arms and ammunition, and also without having a very strong leadership, the revolt, was supposed to be crushed, and it was in fact, suppressed by British, and ultimately Delhi. There was fall of Delhi, and then British yet again consolidated. So, for the end of the rebellion, British forces captured Delhi after prolonged and bitter fighting. John Nicholson, who was leader of the siege, was fatally, wounded and succumbed to his injuries. Bahadur Shah was taken prisoner, and his royal princes were publicly shot by Lieutenant Hudson. The emperor was exiled to Rangoon, where he died in 1862, marking the end of the Mughal dynasty. Now, the vengeance continued by the British, where the inhabitants of Delhi suffered the most because of the kind of anger, where British army officials had died during the 1 year of continued struggle, which in a way, after the Delhi's capture, the uh, the 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 leaders were shotted or publicly hanged, where they were even cut into pieces to showcase that whoever will attempt any kind of future rebellion or mutiny, British army is not going to spare them. So Nana Sahib escaped to Nepal and was never heard of again. Tatya Tope, a close associate, was captured in April 1859 and executed. Rani Lakshmi Bai died on the battlefield in June 1858. By 1859, major leaders like Kuwar Singh, Bakht Khan, Khan Bahadur Khan, Rao Sahib, and Maulvi Ahmadullah were dead or hiding. And because the separation of the revolt was so brutal that Indians did not even attempt to initiate any kind of movement, which was a violent movement. Instead, they started focusing on certain kind of negotiations and also participation with the British. So, if you see that from 1857 to 1858, when British took over, there was restoration of the rule. Military operations for Kanpur's recapture were linked with Lucknow's recovery. Sir Colin Campbell occupied Kanpur on December 6, 1857. The resistance ended ultimately by the end of 1859. The British authority was fully re-established. The British government invested immense resources in men, money, and arms to suppress the revolt. Now, what were the reasons for failure? If we look into some of the reasons, there was absence of all India participation due to limited territorial spread. The mutiny did not happen in other part of India, and it was mainly located into the northern India. Certain classes where the big collaborators like zamindars, moneylenders, and merchants did not support the revolt. As I mentioned, that to continue the revolt for longer time, one need to have money in hand, and also uh, when you have a money, then you will be able to continue this struggle, as well as arms and ammunitions. Again, is a very, very important factor where Indians lagged heavily, and which resulted into the very miserable defeat. Educated Indians viewed the revolt as backward looking and resisted traditional conservative forces. And many Indian rulers refused to join and actively added the British. So, in a way, because of the double standard of zamindars, educated class, zamindars, money lenders, jagirdars, and many other kind of actors who could have been one of the major force by funding, by supporting the revolt. It would have ended the East India Company's rule or British rule in India for longer time. But because they collaborated, because they aided, because they assisted, because they helped, ultimately that led to the crushing of the revolt and restoration of British authority. Now, why the revolt failed? What were the factors contributing to defeat? As I have been already talking about, there was, poor arms and equipment. There was uncoordinated organization. It was poorly organized. It lacked coordination. There was no central leadership. Principal rebel leaders were not strategic matches for the British counterparts. British counterparts were, strategically very sound. There was certain kind of lack of modern nationalism, which in a way inculcated among civilians and mutineers, where they would have a certain kind of solidarity and certain kind of feeling, which in a way lagged, and ultimately there was no such kind of nationalist ideals or forward-looking program. There were various kind of grievances among the rebel group as well. If we see, the rebels represented diverse elements with differing grievances and political choices. If we also look into the legacy of the revolt, this of course played a very crucial role in bringing Indians together, fostering a consciousness of belonging to one country. And in fact, prior to 1857, there was absence of the sense of modern nationalism, but after 1857, at least certain kind of Indianness, certain kind of nationalism, certain kind of a feeling of oneness, that kind of generated, and people became very conscious about their Indian identity. Now, if we look into the other kind of positive points of 1857 revolt, which in a way harmonized the two antagonistic communities like Hindu and Muslims during the revolt. There was, by and large, Hindu-Muslim cooperation. There was complete cooperation which existed between Hindus and Muslims at all levels during the revolt. From Rani Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi to Tatya Tope to Nana Sahib to many other Kumar Singh and many other leaders, well coordinated and accepted Bahadur Shah Zafar as the emperor. In terms of religious sensitivity also, if we see that the factor which in a way ignited the revolt of 1857 was that the greased cartridges were made of cows meat and pig's meat, and ultimately the very religious sentiments were harmed, and Hindus and Muslims coordinated. And post 1857, and even during 1857, they respected the sentiment, as Muslims respected the sentiments of Hindus by respecting cows, and ultimately, Muslims, Hindus equally kind of respected the Muslims' religious sentiments in whatever manifestation. In terms of Hindu-Muslim leadership, as I talked about, that from Rani Lakshmibai to Tatya Tope to Azimullah to Maulvi Ahmadullah, all coordinated and kind of stood together. The very idea of unity in diversity, that what we know is very much visible during the revolt, which demonstrated that Indian people and politics were not fundamentally communal or sectarian before 1858. And post 1858, that what we witness, that the very coordination, the very cooperation of Hindu-Muslim unity, in fact, disturbed the very British rule, and British, in a way, they they did not kind of allow Hindus and Muslims to stand together on any of the issues, and they started playing the very strategic kind of utilization of what is called divided rule. So Maulana Azad highlighted the remarkable sense of unity among Hindus and Muslims during this period. Now, there are diverse interpretations about the nature of the revolt, and many historians and many scholars have been talking about, have been naming the revolt of 1857 by different names. Of course, British historians, have labeled, revolt of 1857 as a Sepoy Mutiny, because it started with the mutiny in Meerut, and ultimately leading to Sepoys supporting Bahadur Shah Zafar and declaring him as emperor, and that lacked a certain kind of native leadership and popular support. That what is the viewpoint of British historians. The very idea, some scholars have been saying that whether it was military outbreak or popular uprising. Now there are varied interpretation on whether it was mainly a military outbreak or popular uprising. Now Dr. K. Datta, we've said that it was a military outbreak used by disconnected princes and landlords. In terms of nationalistic interpretation, that what we know, that V.D. Savarkar viewed it as the first war of Indian independence and a planned war for self-rule. On the other hand, Dr. S.N. Sen saw it starting as a fight for religion, because Hindus and Muslims fighting together for saving their religion, because they felt that it is a threat to their religion in terms of introduction of the grease cartridges, using cows and pigs' meat. But it started though for the fight for religion, but ended as a war of independence. That's a nationalistic interpretation by Dr. Sen. Now, Jawaharlal Nehru essentially, talked about that it's a feudal uprising with some nationalistic elements. On the other hand, M.N. Roy viewed it as a last stand of feudalism against commercial capitalism. Now, if we try to categorize revolt of 1857, it is near to impossible to categorize in any of the categorizations that from military outbreak to popular uprising to whether it was a feudal kind of sentiment with nationalistic elements, or because there are various perspectives, it can be questioned, but British elements have been saying that it was rather a fanatic religious war, or a conflict between civilization and barbarism. That's a very strong word to use. And ultimately, as I said, that revolt of 1857 in a way sowed the seeds of nationalism, while not inherently about common nationality, but it had seeds of nationalism, and it was anti-imperial. S.B. Chaudhary sees it as the first combined attempt to challenge foreign power, means the challenge to the very idea of colonialism or imperialism. So, in a way, if we see uh, these interpretations and the event which unfolded, uh, to my mind, the revolt of 1857 has a place in Indian history as an epoch, because that inculcated certain kind of nationalism, that inculcated certain kind of feeling for oneness, that inculcated solidarity among the communities, and ultimately which generated that very national feeling, that the foreign elements have been occupying the spaces in terms of whether it is social, political, or economic, and people need to have a concerted effort to oust this foreign power. And from 1857 till 1947, for 90 years, it was a it was a reference point for the leaders of the freedom struggle, which ultimately led to organizations, establishment of organization, foundations of organizations, and also leading to various kind of socio-religious reforms. The 1857, in a way, marked in the Indian history that unless we are going to be united and also going to fight the internal enemy, which is the caste hierarchy, the dogma, the blind belief system, the illogical and irrational practices in the name of customs and traditions. We are not going to have a very sound movement, and we are not going to fight against the British Raj. We are not going to oust the British rule. So I stop here, and we will move to the next segment, where we will see that what were some of the driving factors behind socio religious reform movements. Thank you so much. I hope you are enjoying these lectures, and you are learning some bit of Indian history. Thank you very much.